Hello, welcome to Lore Master's Lair. I'm your Lore Master, here today for another God video. In honor of the recent release of Starfinder 2e, today we'll be looking at one of the deities who recently became one of the main 20. Well, a Pathfinder profile at least. Bid a warm welcome to Lissala, deity of obedience, reward of service, and runes. Starting out, as always, let's look at where you can find information on these gods yourself. As always, both editions have gods and magic, and 2e also has divine mysteries, all a good place to examine the basics. Where we truly get into the deities' information is in the 5th book of the Shadowed Star Adventure Path, titled Into Nightmare Rift. We'll also be dipping into Starfinder with galactic magic. And as for more complete information that we'll find in side tangents, we also have information from the ruins of Azlanti Adventure Path, as well as several different Rune Lord books. We have a lot now, so. No one knows Lissala's origins. There are claims she is an ascended serpent folk. Others claim she is from the plane of Earth, a creation of the Vault Builders. Some others say that she was an Azlanti mage, others an aboleth attempting to gain more control over those of dry land. Regardless, at the time of the Azlant Empire, and more importantly its fall, she was a well-known deity. Lissala, when she appears, does so in the form of an Azlanti woman, skin fair and eyes stern. Oh, and without a mouth. She is often dressed in green and yellow robes with a snakeskin pattern, and with the Sanhedrin, the seven-pointed star, emblazoned upon it. Oh, and 6 transparent rings. And let's not forget the battle form, which is a serpent-like body and 6 wings with no head, the Sanhedrin in its place. Overall, I think it's, regardless of her origin, safe to say that she's not exactly human. As deity of duty and obedience, she has her followers learn under the harsh rule of a master, in order to best learn the path to power. As deity of service, she teaches only the greatest efforts will bear fruit. As goddess of runes, her mark is on every spellbook, and she especially is connected with the 7 runes of sin. As deity of fate, she teaches that there are some things which cannot be changed, and a person needs to work to make their own future. To the point where divination is the only magic school not connected to her teachings and is looked down upon by her worshippers. Which while we are here, let's take the time to look at today's first side tangent, the part of the show where we repeat the same information from book to book to book to book. So, Sin Magic. Also known as Thessalonian magic, this is a subset of rune magic, first practiced by the followers of the Thessalonian ruler Zin, based off of the 7 virtues. However, Zin's 7 apprentices betrayed him and took Thessalon for themselves, becoming the first 7 rune lords and readjusting the practice of the faith to focus more on sin. Each of the branches of rune magic focuses on one of the traditional spell schools, and indulging in the sins tied to that spell school. Of course, this is not the only application of rune magic, as modern rune magic proves, but still the form most strongly connected to Lissala's faith. In the times of Pathfinder, the faith of Lissala is mostly forgotten, only being returned with the return of the Rune Lords. Serpent-like creatures like serpent folk and Naga are important to the faith, and followers show these creatures respect. There's also strong focus on keeping oaths between people, whether that is a master and apprentice or through a marriage. Clergy is a strict hierarchy and believe obedience to their superiors is an absolute law. Each day is a regulated list of activities set to certain times, including when one eats and sleeps. And that is not just for them, but for anyone close to them, like an adventure party traveling with them. They are masters of compartmentalization and work to match their demeanor with their current task, and can switch at a moment's notice. Though one final note is that as the faith fell more and more to decadence with the rise of sin magic, so did the practice of the faith, and priests are known to indulge in at least one of the 7 sins. Which brings us to our second side tangent, the Azlanti Star Empire, or the origin of such. When Earthfall happened, Azlanti were making deals left and right to escape the destruction, whether growing guilds, going to the netherworld, or being corrupted underground. Each ended up as something not quite human any longer. But some were thinking of portals, and traveled to the distant planet of New Thespera, which revolves around the star Aristia. The portals failed when Earthfall actually came about, leaving the Empire without a way back to Galorian. But through sheer grit, determination, and racism, the Star Empire established themselves as the dominant power in the system, and began expanding into the empire they are today. When it comes to temples to Lissala, they must be of stone. Other building materials do not last long enough. Temples are sprawling, having several rooms for priests, servants, slaves, kitchens, libraries, and even indoor cemeteries for the most important people. The central chamber is made up of 7 sides, and they usually adopt one of the 7 sins as the temple central theme. Shrines to the Lissala usually were heavy stones emblazoned with sahedrons, and are often used as anchor points for important spells. These days there's not much of an organized faith to Lissala. Her height was during the age of Old Tassalon, and modern day her faith is still sparse. If we are adding in Starfinder, the Azlanti Star Empire would be doing pretty well for itself even during Pathfinder times, but we have no information specifically about that. Her main holiday is one known as the Feast of the Sigils, a ritual where magical power is put into a huge feast, then consumed to get more energy out of it than was put in. Or more at the height of Thassalon, use non-spellcasters as sacrifices to get even more energy. Her holy text is Devotion of the 7 Forms, a book on the 7 non-divination schools of magic. Tripping over my words all around today. Anyway, for relationships with other deities, she has a neutral relationship with all other Thessalonian deities. She had a rivalry with Amaznen, the then deity of magic, but he, Amaznen, was one of the deities who died in Earthfall. Present day, both Pathfinder and Starfinder, we have no report of Lissala's relationships with other deities. Which brings us to side tangent 3, the old rival of Lissala, Amaznen, the father of invention. Deity of invention, magic, and secret knowledge, Amaznen was mostly known for the crafting of magic tools, which were widespread in ancient Azlanti. Appearing as an Azlanti inventor, he was the lover of another Azlanti deity, Arkovna. Knowing she intended to sacrifice herself to stop Earthfall, he joined her, handling the magic aspect while she handled the physical. In the end, the magic he siphoned was too much, and he ended up stepping over the boundaries of existence, but he and Akavna are still remembered as the deities that Eredin himself paid respect to in life. That is almost everything I have for today, but one final side tangent to look at Lissala, our main topic, before and after, which honestly there's not too much to say. Before Taslan, she was Maya deity, now reaching prominence until Zin's used the rune magic, and we know what happened after that. It was beforehand she was simply a lawful faith, and it was the rune lords who brought her to evil. And then going to Starfinder, her faith still remains unchanged from what we've seen, with the forceful masters pushing the faith on those below them, as it stands as the official religion of the Azlanti Star Empire. And that's the end of today's video. The Azlanti Star Empire is set to play a bigger role in Starfinder 2e, that being the reason Lissala is now one of the main 20 deities to begin with. So maybe we'll be seeing a full write-up of her in Starfinder soon. Or, you know, any deity. They are still so small, Starfinder rise. But next week we are getting closer to the end of the Azlanti's rivals, the Mascarium. So look forward to another planet video next time. See you then.